Okay, hey everybody, it is time for another video as the third anniversary rolls on here on JP. Pretty easy to say that at this point it's kind of a disappointment for most JP players. As a matter of fact, quite a few JP players have actually already kind of left. JP's on the decline. And yeah, I'm really curious as to what the devs have in store to try and get people back. Most JP players have been a little bit frustrated with just events and how this anniversary is felt, and I don't think it's been bringing in the most amount of players. Hell, even Arena right now feels even a little sparse, which for an anniversary where Sephiroth was announced, not exactly a great thing. Not to mention, just some of the global news has been making it over to the JP side, and JP players are a little embarrassed with the Addison Rae thing. They're a little curious as to why the hell this is going on in the first place. And globalers, I'm not going to pass along your messages to them. This is just going to have to be a thing that is just an interesting intro to this video. So let's talk about what we're here to talk about, which is the live stream. So yeah, I do think that there's going to need to be a really important live stream coming up here for just maybe some damage control. I mean, the third anniversary has felt kind of crappy so far, and it's not really feeling like it's going to get any better, but it could. So yes, there's a third anniversary live stream. The Dream Lottery announcement will be happening for exactly who was the winner of it. And since I haven't been pre-notified, I guess I am not a winner of it. Probably going to be some, I mean, I don't even know how they get a hold of that person, but yeah. So there's going to be that. There's also going to be future news for upcoming characters and potentially some content. Hopefully there'll be something in here to make people give any amount of poop, because right now I have to say it definitely feels not just really not good. So this live stream will be happening on Sunday the 27th at 8 p.m. Japanese Standard Time. I will be restreaming it. However, the first about 20 minutes or so, I think I will just have it on stream with no commentary because I will be on my weekend. So yeah, I will be doing stuff. I will be doing, of course, Jeez, come on, get it together. I'm going to be doing a recap video later. But in the meantime, that's basically the news. There's no other news for right now. So what should we talk about? Oh, I know. Let's talk about Bizarro. So Pechon is just one of my favorite streamers or YouTubers on the JP side because he makes great quality videos and does a lot of intensive testing. And basically this week he's been running a lot of Yuffie stuff and Yuffie Fire stuff. So basically he sets it up as the opposing team of being Mono Elemental Fire. You can see Ildara, Pizarro, and Yuffie on here, and he runs a whole bunch of different matches, which is really cool. And if we just go on a little bit further, well, I mean, you can see here wind and fire combination ends up in a loss for wind, so that's kind of fun. Next up, he goes up against Mono Ice, incredibly ranged, and yeah, that ends basically how you think it would end, with Ice not winning. Goes up against Mono Dark, including Halloween Lucia. You think Halloween Lucia has an advantage in this fight with her barriers and whatnot. Let's skip forward and just see the actual result here. Even as Joker for the extra accuracy plan. And just as you can see here, ends up with another loss. So next up, we have against Mono Water, including Astrius as well as Preen. And yeah, you can see just how good this fight is kind of going. And this has been the story of a lot of test videos that I've seen of Yuffie against and Mono Fire Evasion. Mono Fire Evasion actually is looking pretty damn decent right now, actually better than I thought it would. One of the big benefits that Fire also has is Yuffie, in combination with just equipment and whatnot, is just so incredibly fast. As a matter of fact, frustratingly fast for the opponent to actually deal with. Here we have lightning, including lightning. Isn't that handy? Just for commentary. But this I also find is really interesting, is the fact that one of the best units of dealing with Yuffie that I've seen so far is lightning. Now, this is where it seems like Mono Fire Evasion is probably at its best, because you can see there it was a much closer fight. Lightning, just with her extra accuracy and built for accuracy, will can kind of get by some of the tricks that are being used. Here we have Mono Earth with Queen Macherie, who is also supposed to be particularly very strong. Skipping ahead, you can see that this fight has panned out pretty much mostly the way that you think it would. Yuffie, again, having some particularly bad matchups, but even against the whaliest of whale characters, because on JP, you get that character slightly differently, it doesn't particularly end well for Earth. So Azazin, all that money, not necessarily worth it. And here we can see a matchup where we've got our Earth, including Miraga. And again, this is a lot of the time what it comes down to is this. And if Yuffie lands any kind of de-accuracy buff, but you can see she can even loop characters with just how fast she is. Against Mono Wind, now, this is a little bit interesting because in this series of videos, we've actually replaced Valentine Ildira with UR Mont, who has gotten a pretty good dream enhancement. Gave him a good rating. And as you can see, skipping ahead, once again, we're kind of just looking at this kind of setup where even with only 2 Fire Evasion characters, still strong against one of the strongest elements in the game. Skipping ahead, this one just including a Pizarro on its own side. And you can see this one finally ends in a little bit of a result until you realize that there's still a Pizarro alive. And now it's one mage with no protection against that. Next up, Dark, featuring Majin Fina as well as Joker. This is probably the more accurate build, just because it is like essentially set up to be that way. But as you can see here, Sephiroth with this kind of dark accurate build is still just pretty damn good and can get through it. So Sephiroth, definitely a unit that does make a difference in combination with Majin Fina, who also has a higher accuracy and is good with dealing with this evasion team. Here, same roughly the thing, just without Majin Fina, seeing if it makes a difference. And sure enough, it actually does make a difference. Majin Fina being important for getting a leg up on the evasion comp that Fire is looking to do right now. Even Joker, not necessarily enough. You can see it is a bit of a hair trigger. Now, as for light evasion, this is actually really funny. I've seen a couple of these matches play out in this kind of styling, and it usually goes down to this of evasion versus evasion, which is really funny to watch because it's just who can win. And more often than not, what I have seen is basically it ends up being whoever gets more accuracy hits in, which is why if you are building runes for these kind of evasion teams, luck is probably better, because luck also does affect accuracy, which is a good counter to your opponent. But a lot of the time, light and fire evasion going up against each other can actually result in a draw, which does not work out particularly well for the player who is actually attempting it, because obviously a draw, you just lose, because that makes a lot of sense. It really should be based on who has the most units alive at the end, but hey, I'm not a dev. And last but not least, taking a peek in here at this content, here we got Mono Fire versus Lightning, including Skahal. And this one, I mean, this is kind of interesting because the Skahal thing is just like, well, with auto revive and everything, is Renathal. Renathal? Who makes Renathal? It's really a question of whether or not the damage actually works out and the turns work out as well. As you can see, if she just keeps getting off healings, his ability will actually activate, which is particularly scary because this guy not only has good counter ability right now, he also has a pretty damn good chance of hitting with some of his abilities. This combination was already really strong on JP, and still is strong now. See, there you can see the hit, heal, but here's where the difference comes in. We're going to get that, the gut's still in there, and that it strike right there, just because his HP was not high enough to actually activate the effect. So if we were to take away from this, I think fire evasions, I just want to go back to that screen because it's actually very beautiful. If there's something that I've noticed, key characters for fighting fire evasion are Lightning. You can potentially tie with light evasion, but I don't think that's a really winning strategy. The Skahal one is kind of a coin flip whether or not the turns effectively work out, but since Yuffie's so fast, can potentially double speed over some characters, which is scary. And in terms of Dark, Sephiroth plus Majin Pina is probably a pretty important combination. But versus Ice and Wind teams, Fire Evasion seems not only a good odds of winning constantly, but just really strong overall. And even then, Fire Evasion has good matchups. So am I going to fully recommend Yuffie, Zaro, and Valentine Elvira? No. And there's one big reason. I think that Pizarro could be potentially exchanged for Valentine Elvira. Both of their performance seems good for equal reasons. If you really want to go all out on Fire Evasion, Mono Fire Evasion does finally get the thumb up. But I think that it is possible to still sub in some characters. If there's one thing Pizarro is doing particularly well on this team, it's the fact that he has just a really, like, his guts is probably one of the best things. It could be canceled out by certain characters, so it is a cautionary thing. If you have like just 100% hit accuracy and whatnot, but I don't know. It's something that I would like to test when I finally get my Yuffie up there, and I have been working on buying shards for mine, but still a ways off. And already seen on Twitter that somebody has fully reincarnated a Yuffie already, which the proof, I didn't see the actual full stats, but I'm sure the evasion is incredibly high. But anyway, that's all for this video. Tune in this Sunday to find out, or please watch the recap video to support the channel. Thanks, see you next time.